everyone! Welcome back to Chill English Channel, your calm place for learning English through deep and meaningful conversations. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jake. We're very happy you're joining us today.
Today's topic is something that can open doors, create opportunities, and sometimes make even experienced professionals feel nervous.
That's right. Today, we're talking about how to speak English at a job interview like a pro.
And before we begin, we'd like to ask you a question.
Have you ever walked into an interview feeling prepared, only to forget everything the moment the interviewer started asking questions?
Maybe your heart started beating faster.
Maybe you suddenly couldn't find the English words you wanted to use.
Maybe you worried about making mistakes.
Or maybe you felt confident before the interview, but nervous during it.
Whatever your experience has been, keep it in mind while we talk today.
Because interviews are something almost everyone experiences at some point in life.
Whether you're applying for your first job,
Looking for a promotion,
changing careers,
or applying for a position in another country.
the ability to communicate well during an interview can make a huge difference.
And here's some good news.
What's that?
Interview skills can be learned.
That's encouraging.
Many people believe that successful interview candidates are naturally confident speakers.
But that's not always true.
Not at all. Most confident candidates became confident through preparation, practice, and experience.
Let's teach our listeners an important word right away.
Good idea.
The word is preparation.
Preparation means the process of getting ready for something.
For example, good preparation helped me feel more confident during the interview.
Or, preparation often reduces anxiety.
That's a very useful sentence.
It certainly is.
Jake, why do you think interviews make people so nervous?
I think there are several reasons. One of the biggest reasons is uncertainty.
Meaning we don't know exactly what will happen.
Exactly. We don't know what questions will be asked, we don't know how the interviewer will react, and we don't know whether we'll perform well.
Human beings generally prefer certainty.
Definitely. Most people feel comfortable when they know what to expect.
But interviews are full of unknowns.
That's right.
I think another reason is that interviews feel important.
Very important.
Sometimes people feel like one interview could change their future.
And that pressure can make simple questions feel difficult.
Even questions like, "Tell me about yourself."
Ah, yes. One of the most common interview questions in the world.
And surprisingly, one of the questions people struggle with most.
That's because it's so open-ended.
Open-ended means there isn't one correct answer.
Exactly. The interviewer isn't asking for your entire life story.
Yet many people don't know where to begin.
That's true.
So, if an interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself," what are they really asking?
Usually they're asking for a professional introduction.
Not a personal autobiography.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. You might say, "Thank you for having me. My name is Jake. I've worked in customer service for the past 5 years, where I've developed strong communication and problem-solving skills. Recently, I've been looking for an opportunity to grow professionally and take on new challenges, which is why I'm excited about this position."
That sounds professional and focused.
That's the goal.
I noticed something interesting.
What was that?
You talked about your experience, your skills, and your goals.
Exactly.
Everything was relevant to the job.
That's a very important point.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is relevant.
Relevant means directly connected to the subject being discussed.
For example, I focused on relevant work experience.
Or relevant examples strengthen your answers
Interviewers appreciate answers that stay relevant.
because it shows good communication skills.
Absolutely.
Speaking of communication, I think many English learners worry about making grammar mistakes.
They do.
And sometimes they worry so much that they become afraid to speak.
That's very common.
What would you say to someone who feels that way?
I'd remind them that communication is more important than perfection.
That's an important lesson.
Most interviewers aren't searching for perfect grammar. They're trying to understand whether you can communicate effectively in a professional environment.
So speaking clearly matters more than speaking perfectly.
Exactly.
Another thing I've noticed is that people often try to sound extremely intelligent.
Yes, and sometimes that creates problems
Why?
because they start using vocabulary they don't normally use.
And then they sound less natural.
Right. Professional communication isn't about using the most complicated words possible.
It's about being clear, confident, and authentic.
I completely agree.
Let's imagine another common interview question.
Okay.
The interviewer asks, "Why do you want to work here?"
That's one of the most important questions you'll hear.
Why do interviewers ask it?
Because they want to know whether you've researched the company.
Preparation again.
Exactly. They also want to know whether you're genuinely interested in the position.
So how should someone answer?
A strong answer usually connects your experience, your goals, and the company itself.
Can you give us an example?
Of course. I've researched your company, and I'm impressed by your focus on innovation and customer satisfaction. I believe my background in project coordination would allow me to contribute to the team while continuing to develop my professional skills.
That's a much stronger answer than simply saying, "I need a job."
Definitely.
It shows interest.
It shows effort.
And it shows preparation.
Exactly.
Another thing many candidates forget is that interviewers are conversations.
That's such an important point.
Sometimes people treat interviews like exams,
And that mindset can create even more pressure.
because an exam feels like you're being tested.
While a conversation feels more natural.
Of course, interviews are still professional,
Definitely.
but they're also opportunities for both sides to learn more about each other.
Exactly. The company is evaluating you, but you're also evaluating the company.
That's a perspective many people forget,
It can actually help reduce anxiety.
because instead of thinking, "I hope they like me," you can also think, "Is this the right opportunity for me?"
That's a much healthier way to approach an interview.
Another useful word here is qualification.
Good choice.
A qualification is a skill, experience, achievement, or certification that makes someone suitable for a job.
For example, she has the qualifications needed for the position.
Or, the interviewer asked about my qualifications.
That's vocabulary you'll hear frequently in professional settings.
Now, one thing that surprises many candidates is that interviewers often care less about job titles and more about accomplishments.
That's very true.
They don't just want to know what your responsibilities were,
They want to know what impact you made.
and learning how to talk about your achievements effectively is one of the most valuable interview skills you can develop.
Absolutely. In fact, one simple technique can completely transform the way candidates answer interview questions.
A technique that many hiring managers love because it helps candidates give clear, organized, and memorable answers.
And once I learned how to use it, interview questions suddenly became much easier to answer.
Before the break, we were talking about a technique that can make interview answers much clearer and more organized.
That's right. And honestly, this technique helped me more than almost anything else when I was preparing for interviews.
What technique are we talking about?
The STAR method.
Ah, yes. Many employers and recruiters are familiar with it.
For good reason. It helps candidates tell stories in a structured way instead of giving confusing answers.
Let's break it down for our listeners.
STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result.
That's easy to remember.
Exactly. First, you explain the situation. Then you describe the task or challenge. After that, you explain the action you took. Finally, you share the result.
It sounds simple.
It is simple, but it's surprisingly powerful.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's imagine an interviewer asks, "Tell me about a time you solved a difficult problem."
A very common interview question.
Definitely. Instead of giving a short and vague answer, you could use the STAR method.
What might that sound like?
Something like this. In my previous role, our team was experiencing delays in customer response times. My responsibility was to help improve communication between departments. I created a new tracking system and organized weekly meetings to address issues more quickly. As a result, response times improved by 30% within 3 months.
That's much stronger than simply saying, I'm good at solving problems,
Exactly.
because you're providing evidence.
That's the key. Interviewers love examples because examples feel real.
Let's teach an important word here.
The word is achievement.
An achievement is something you've successfully accomplished through effort or skill.
For example, I discussed my achievements during the interview.
Or, achievements help demonstrate your value.
That's a great sentence.
I think many people underestimate the importance of talking about achievements.
I agree.
Why do you think that happens?
Sometimes people worry they'll sound arrogant,
That's true.
especially people who are naturally humble.
They don't want to appear boastful.
Exactly.
Let's explain that word.
Good idea.
Boastful means talking too proudly about yourself or your accomplishments.
For example, he sounded boastful during the conversation.
But there's a difference between being boastful and being professional.
A huge difference.
Interviews are one of the few situations where you're expected to talk about your strengths.
That's exactly right.
You're not bragging.
You're providing information.
That's an important mindset shift.
It really is.
Another question many candidates find difficult is, what are your strengths?
Ah, yes. A classic interview question.
Why do interviewers ask it?
They want to understand how you see yourself and what value you can bring to the role.
So, what's the best approach?
Choose strengths that are relevant to the position and support them with examples.
Can you give us a sample answer?
Sure. One of my strengths is problem solving. In my previous position, I often helped identify process inefficiencies and suggest improvements. For example, I helped streamline a reporting system that reduced administrative work for the team.
I notice a pattern.
What's that?
That you don't simply claim you have a strength.
Exactly.
You prove it.
That's what makes answers convincing.
Convincing is another useful word.
Definitely.
Convincing means able to make someone believe something is true or valid.
For example, her answer was clear and convincing.
Or, examples make your answers more convincing.
That's excellent advice for interviews.
Now let's talk about a question that many people fear.
I think I know which one.
What is your biggest weakness?
Exactly.
Why do candidates dislike that question so much?
Because they worry about saying the wrong thing.
Understandably.
Some people try to avoid answering honestly.
And interviewers usually notice that.
They often do.
What makes a good answer?
A good answer shows self-awareness and improvement.
Explain that.
Instead of choosing a weakness that would prevent you from doing the job, choose something you've actively worked to improve.
Can you give us an example?
Of course. Earlier in my career, I sometimes found it difficult to delegate tasks because I wanted to handle everything myself. Over time, I realized the importance of trusting team members and communicating responsibilities clearly. I've worked on this skill and have become much more effective at collaboration.
That's a strong answer.
Because it shows growth.
And employers like people who are willing to improve.
Absolutely.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is self-awareness.
Self-awareness means understanding your own strengths, weaknesses, behaviors, and emotions.
For example, self-awareness is an important professional skill.
Or, the candidate demonstrated strong self-awareness.
Many hiring managers value that quality.
Another challenge during interviews is dealing with unexpected questions.
That's true.
Sometimes candidates prepare for common questions, but then hear something completely different.
And that's when panic can appear.
What should people do in that situation?
First, remember that you don't need to answer instantly.
That's such an important point.
Many candidates think silence is dangerous.
But a brief pause is perfectly normal.
Exactly.
Taking a few seconds to think can actually make your answer stronger.
Definitely. It shows you're thoughtful rather than rushing.
And if necessary, you can even say,
That's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a moment.
That sounds professional.
Very professional.
Another thing that helps is remembering that interviewers are usually not trying to trick you.
That's true.
Many candidates act as if they're entering a battle.
When in reality, most interviewers simply want to understand who you are and whether you're a good fit for the role.
That's a much less frightening way to look at it.
Definitely.
The relationship between the interviewer and candidate shouldn't feel like a competition.
It should feel like a professional conversation.
A conversation focused on skills, experience, goals, and potential.
Exactly.
And speaking of goals, there's another question that appears in interviews all the time.
One that can reveal a lot about a candidate.
The question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
And many people aren't quite sure how to answer it.
Some people worry they're supposed to predict the future.
Fortunately, that's not what interviewers are asking.
Then what are they really trying to learn?
They're trying to understand your ambitions, your motivation, and whether your long-term goals align with the opportunities available in the company.
And learning how to answer that question naturally and professionally can leave a very strong impression.
Absolutely, because some answers inspire confidence immediately, while others can accidentally create concerns for the interviewer.
And that's exactly what we'll explore next.
We were talking about one of the most overlooked parts of a job interview.
That's right. The moment when the interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions for us?"
Many candidates think the interview is basically over at that point.
But that's not necessarily true,
Why is that?
because the questions you ask can reveal a lot about you.
Such as?
Your curiosity, your professionalism, your preparation, and your level of interest in the role.
So simply saying, no, I don't have any questions, might not be the best approach.
Usually not.
What kinds of questions make a good impression?
Questions that show genuine interest.
Can you give us some examples?
Of course. You could ask, what does success look like in this position? Or, what are the biggest challenges someone in this role might face? Or, what opportunities are available for professional development?
Those are thoughtful questions.
And they help create a more meaningful conversation.
Let's teach an important word.
Good idea.
The word is initiative.
Initiative means the ability to take action independently without waiting for others to tell you what to do.
For example, her questions demonstrated initiative.
Or, employers often value initiative.
That's a great word for professional situations.
Definitely.
You know, after talking about interviews today, I think many people imagine that successful candidates always say the perfect thing.
I used to believe that too.
But that's not really how interviews work.
Not at all. Most successful interviews aren't perfect. They're simply authentic, professional, and well-prepared.
That's encouraging,
Very encouraging.
because everyone makes small mistakes sometimes.
Absolutely.
Maybe you forget a word.
Maybe you need a moment to think.
Maybe you don't answer a question exactly the way you planned.
That's completely normal. Interviewers are human too.
Exactly. They're usually not expecting perfection.
They're looking for someone who can communicate, solve problems, learn, and work effectively with others.
That's what matters most. Looking back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about interviews?
Honestly, the biggest lesson is that preparation creates confidence.
Not perfection.
Not perfection.
Preparation.
The more prepared you are, the less energy you spend worrying.
And the more energy you can spend having a genuine conversation.
Exactly.
I think another important lesson is that interviews are skills.
That's true.
Skills improve through practice.
Just like learning English.
Just like public speaking.
Just like any other professional ability.
So if someone has had a difficult interview in the past,
It doesn't mean they'll struggle forever.
every interview becomes experience.
Every interview teaches something.
Every interview helps you improve.
And every interview is an opportunity to become more confident.
Let's teach one final word for today's conversation.
The word is opportunity.
Opportunity means a favorable situation that makes it possible to achieve something.
For example, the interview was a great opportunity.
Or, every challenge can become an opportunity to learn.
That's a wonderful sentence to remember.
Before we finish, let's do a little speaking practice.
If possible, try answering these questions out loud.
First question. What job would you most like to apply for in the future?
Second question. What skills would make you a strong candidate for that role?
Third question. What interview question makes you feel the most nervous?
Fourth question. How would you answer the question, "Tell me about yourself"?
And fifth question. What is one thing you could do this week to improve your interview skills?
Try answering in complete sentences.
Speaking out loud helps new vocabulary become more natural.
And it helps build confidence for real-life conversations.
Before we end, let's quickly review what we talked about today.
We discussed preparation, qualifications, achievements, self-awareness, adaptability, initiative, and professional communication.
We talked about answering common interview questions.
We explored how to discuss strengths, weaknesses, goals, and accomplishments.
We also learned that confidence doesn't come from being perfect.
It comes from being prepared,
Most importantly, we learned that interviews are conversations,
not performances,
not exams.
not something to fear.
Every interview is an opportunity to share your experience, your skills, and your potential.
And every interview is a chance to grow.
You don't need perfect English.
You don't need perfect answers.
You don't need to know everything.
You simply need to prepare, communicate clearly, and be yourself.
Because sometimes one conversation,
Can open a door to an exciting new opportunity.
and that's our question of the day. What interview question do you find the most difficult to answer?
Write your answer in the comments.
You can begin your sentence like this. The interview question I find most difficult is blank because blank.
We always enjoy reading your thoughts.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
And remember, learning English is a journey.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.